Hi guys! Paul here.
And Mike.
ManiacsMeat podcast, also known as podcast. And we have a weird one here from the Isles, from the British Isles, from the English Isles.
Definitely a weird one.
From the UKs. From the people who have the queens.
No American would write this.
Well, we have a lot of queens in America too, but that's different. Okay. But from Dirk Campbell... Not Dirk Diggler with the big donkey dick. Yeah. Dirk Campbell. I bought a vampire motorcycle.
Don't forget, if you remember Dirk Diggler, put it in the comments.
Boogie Nights. That one guy's dead that I never liked. Dun 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 dun. Who the fuck that was? I don't give a fuck. He was never in anything I ever liked. I don't care. Okay, so it is from 1989 and is a vampire horror comedy. It's rated 100 minutes. And here's the description. Okay. Bad taste slasher movies never had it so good. I think I would automatically agree on that one. In this horror comedy movie, the film's heroes purchase an antique motorcycle. Somehow, the bike gets a taste for blood and behaves in every aspect like a traditional vampire, shunning crosses, crucifixes, and etc. It also has a taste for human flesh and animal flesh, and is given to dismembering its victims. Okay, so first timer, boom.
So first off, as a side, this is a bootleg that we picked.
Bootleg.
Yeah,
no, actually, it was at the defunct.
Defunct one, yeah.
Yeah, the defunct Living Dead weekend. They had a lesser version of the Living Dead weekend because of COVID, so they shut it down. But they had a little tiny one for little horror gem seekers, and we bought this from the same people who made Jagoff Massacre.
Yeah, there's a bunch of...
And, they had
a couple of personal films that they had...
Well, this is the Drunken Ewans.
Yeah, Yinzers.
The Drunken Yinzers. I bought two films from the Drunken Yinzers, the Jagoff Massacre and the remake of Blood Freak that they did, which I both watch, and... Yeah. And,
but hey, they were hell of a guys.
They were hell of a guys, and I had them sign their shit and stuff, so that's cool. So I bought these from the Drunken Yinzers, and now we're gonna talk about it. And I hope I meet them again, buy more shit.
Yeah, I would actually like to as well. They were nice, and
plus I hope they make more stuff so I can buy some more of their own shit.
Though their things were bootlegged, it was nice being able to find something, because I found some things in their DVDs that are difficult to find.
Very difficult
on DVD.
Here's the thing is, like, I don't care if they're easily viewed on YouTube. I want a copy.
Yeah, I want a physical copy.
Like, for instance, right now, I mean, this is a good point to make. The power is out at my house. So, I like to have stuff downloaded on YouTube. But, let's just say YouTube's down. I like to watch it at the house.
Yeah, if your internet goes out. Or
you can do this, you can do that, you can do this, you can do that. You know what I mean? Like, it's just those little moments.
Yeah, I like having physical copies, because if I can't find stuff streaming, it's nice to
So it's nice to have stuff on a digital format. But at the same time, it's nice to have stuff on an analog format.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And the things that they had there, I wouldn't necessarily, like, put right in my collection. Like all the movies that I bought from them, I have up in my bedroom.
And your personal
a personal thing. Like, this is just for me. Like, they're not official copies, but it's nice to have them and I can watch them. Like Munchies, like, it was real hard finding a copy of Munchies.
Oh, it is.
And they had a bootleg, and I
like a good copy of Hobgoblins.
Yeah,
like hard to find.
Those things are tricky.
I found Satan's Storybook. That's very hard to find.
Yeah, exactly.
And the Necrophiles.
Yeah.
And that was a crazy film. That's very hard. And now, by the way, you know, Necrophiles, a film I watched a long time ago. I finally found it on fucking a bootleg copy. Yeah. We did the podcast. By the way, this is just us doing all the podcasts. Now it's getting a Blu-ray fucking release.
Are you serious?
Oh, yeah. It's the funny thing is, like, we do this. Like, the nudist quality of the Living Dead, all these things. The funny thing is,
some of them, they don't even make DVDs. You have to find them on VHS or bootleg.
Every single time I've seen one of these fucking films get a Blu-ray release after no one's ever heard of them for 30 years, we've already done a podcast on it, and then they get a fucking Blu-ray release. I think people are watching us that are not fucking mentioning.
Yeah.
Like, what is this going
30
on?
people are putting this
No
on
one's mentioned the Necrophiles, and all of a sudden it's getting this special release.
No.
Fuck you. Okay.
No. Next it'll be that Don't Go Near the Park.
Yeah. One of the actually it did. I'm telling you. One of the 3 people watching us is
somebody is in charge of releasing
somebody's
Blu-rays.
inside our brains making things happen. So what do you think about?
What do I think about So I Bought a It's not it's just I bought a vampire motorcycle.
It's very to the point.
I'll say this. Because originally the plan for tonight was to do Wes Craven and Scream movies.
Yeah.
But Josh wasn't able to join us, so
I'm going to push it off. Yeah.
Paul and I were talking earlier, and he is like, let's do something off the wall. And I was like, okay. And then the chat was quiet for a little bit. And then he said, I bought a vampire motorcycle. And I thought he had bought an actual motorcycle that was vampire themed. And I was like, oh, wow, cool. Like, all right. And then a little bit later on, I sent a message like, so do you have an idea of what movie you want to do tonight? And I didn't get a response. And I'm like, that's weird. He just like ignored me. And then when we got together to do this, he shows up and I'm like, oh, shit, you were actually, that was the name of the movie.
I bought a vampire motorcycle.
So I was like, oh, Mom, I guess I'm the idiot. But it was
fun, I thought.
Fun. It was fun. It was nothing special at all.
Mm-mm.
Nothing special at all. But it was a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
The acting was overall subpar. Some of the practical effects were quite good, which surprised the hell out of me because I was not expecting to see any even halfway decent practical effects or any effects. I shouldn't even say practical. I mean, there's
another film I told him to watch called Soul of the Demon that I would like to do on the podcast if I can find a physical copy. And believe me, he will say the same thing.
Yeah.
Acting is shit. Pretty happy with the special effects.
Yeah. Because it seems like we generally try to do stuff where we have actual physical copies.
I don't do anything unless I have a physical copy.
Yeah, unless if it's digital, we don't tend to do it.
No.
But there were a couple of things I really enjoyed about this film. The effects being one of them.
Yeah.
It's always tricky to find a good vampire movie.
Yes.
I mean, there are the good.
It's harder to find a good werewolf movie.
Good werewolf
movies
are.
But vampire movies, once you get past the late '80s, it is pretty hard to find a good vampire
good one,
movie.
Like a really good one.
I mean, John Carpenter's Vampires is good.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yep.
I actually the first when I'm not to go too far off the rails here, but
it's all right.
We're
not talking about Josh's parents jerking us off or anything like that. So
Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
he's not here.
Yeah. I mean, usually those are my off the rail moments, and I tell fucking Rob Zombie and his fucking vegan ass piece of shit wife to fucking die. Those things.
Paul's Rob Zombie. Right?
Yeah, but
the first time I watched John Carpenter's Vampires, I was not a big fan of it. It wasn't until years, I guess, later that I watched it and stopped being so pretentious about how I viewed vampires to really fully enjoy that film. And once I kind of broke out of my mold as to like what vampires are supposed to be, I had a very like Anne Rice-esque. And like Nosferatu, like classic vampire.
I still don't like the film as a whole.
Yeah, what's James Woods that I love really?
But there's so much cock measuring.
Yeah,
like cock swinging going on where you go, fuck this film. Like I like Sundown more than I like that. Yeah. And Sundown's a comedy with Bruce Campbell in it. Yeah, but it's still a good film. Yeah. But it's still a good film. So,
but once I got just past some of my own personal gripes with vampire stuff, like it did open up to an extent a world of vampire movies that I normally would have been like
shunning. Yeah, exactly.
And even some of my My favorite vampire movies, like, I would have just been
Twilight.
like, no, yeah, Twilight, because I'm such a huge Twilight fan.
Twilight, yeah.
You know what? Someday we're gonna watch the Twilight movies and review those.
No.
I don't like them.
Well, someone has to own them before we can watch them, and no one's gonna do that.
I know people that do, though. I can get them.
No, that doesn't count.
It'd be worth it.
God damn it.
Anyway, I bought a vampire motorcycle. It was. I do enjoy at this point in my life when you take a classic horror idea and retell it or modify it. And honestly, this is kind of... I can't believe I'm about to say this now that I'm like really thinking about this as we're talking. This movie is kind of innovative for the time.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of very many...
It's 89.
89.
Mm-hmm.
I can't think of very many other horror films that were like, let's take this thing and totally skew the concept of it, but still keep it what it is. Like, what if a vampire was a motorcycle? Like, you didn't see stuff like that until, like, what if a tire was sentient and wanted to kill people? They make rubber.
The early 2000s. Yeah, exactly.
Like this movie, like, I mean, if you can think of something that...
Well, like I said, like, 88, Dracula's Widow.
Sure.
Is a very weird... Yeah, and the way they do it is really weird and crazy, but it's still
nothing to that extreme of
it's still a vampire that's a person that's a vampire.
Yeah, it's still a vampire. It's still a vampire.
Yeah, exactly.
Vampire.
Yes. So, this film to me is very entertaining and it's different in a campy way, but you can still kind of try to take it seriously. And I like the fact that they do, like you said, all the tropes.
Every classic vampire. Every
classic vampire trope still fits in here.
Absolutely.
There's no strong characters.
No.
You understand who character is what.
Yeah.
But they're not strong. So there are no strong characters. The Hells Angels don't look like Hells Angels. They don't have Hells Angels. By the way, the Hells Angels don't have Hells Angels patches or back. You know what I mean? Like they're just random bike group.
Yeah, motorcycle gang.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing.
So I guess the premise was, there's a guy who's trying to summon a dark lord.
Yeah.
Demon guy.
So here's this. Yeah.
And it was odd because a motorcycle gang attacks the guys that are performing the ritual to summon this thing, and they kill the leader and all the people around him and stop it. But when he dies, some of his blood spills into the gas tank of the motorcycle, which causes the motorcycle to become possessed.
Oh yeah, let's talk about that first. So there's a bad group of bikers and another bad group of bikers.
Yeah.
Here's the thing is, if you really wanted to do this, wouldn't you call the bad group of bikers the Hells Angels and the other group of bikers the Avenging Angels
that's
or something like that?
Funny about it was because
there's two bad group of bikers.
Right off the get-go, when this whole thing starts out and they stop the cult leader from
doing the
summoning completing the ceremony. Initially, I was like, all right, these are our protagonists. Like, they're like roughhousing, like anti-hero protagonist guys.
And they turned out to be the bad guys.
And then the story goes to the guy that buys the motorcycle. The innocent guy that buys that is the guy that bought a vampire motorcycle.
Yeah.
And the bike has a vendetta against, in a certain degree against the guys that had originally stopped it from summoning the demon. So the biker guys that had done the right thing and stopped the demon from being summoned all of a sudden kind of become antagonists. But not even the full antagonists. They were like more like slapdick bullshit, like comedy relief antagonists to it.
Well, one guy took out like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Is it? I don't know. Here's the thing: is it a lesser evil?
Yeah, that's kind of like
they're the lesser because they're both bad.
Yeah, they're both bad, but they were
that
those guys
one
were
guy was really
yeah,
fucking bad.
I mean, he's trying to summon a demon.
Yeah, he summoned a demon into himself, but because he was already kind of fucked,
yeah,
the demon ended up going into the motorcycle, and he just he
Yeah.
basically cut his throat and just emptied it into the gas tank. But Buzzard was a piece of shit. His buddy
Buzzard,
stole a gas cap.
Yeah, his buddy robbed his friend, like stole something off of his friend.
I mean, if you're not gonna rob your friend, who are you gonna rob?
I know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But it's Britain. We all know they're all cutthroats. But it was actually fun because I've been to England before,
Irish.
so it's nice to see the landscape, the bars, the things like that. It was nice for me to see it, but at the same time, it's kind of campy, and much like in the how do you say this? The American Werewolf from London, the police are useless.
Yeah.
Just
they
like
were
American
they definitely painted the inspector as like a comedy relief.
Comedy relief, like they never get there in time. There are some really great gore scenes in this one. I would like to say, like when the girl, she gets it's so campy when the girl gets the blood sucked out of her.
Yeah.
But they walk away and then she just falls into pieces and
Yeah, there was a wonderful practical effect.
Yeah.
Where the motorcycle, as the film progresses, the motorcycle becomes more and more violent.
Yeah, it gets worse and worse as it goes along.
And it attacks the girlfriend of the protagonist. I can't remember his name. Nagy.
Yeah.
The motorcycle attacks her at the hospital after a series of events. This is later in the film. And one of the nurses is in there, and it pins a serving tray up against the nurse and proceeds to suck the blood out of her via two tubes that come out of the motorcycle. But what was wonderful about it was when it backs away, and we were both not expecting this, not at all. No. We expected it, it backs away, the cart pushes out,
she
girl
falls over the end.
Not what happened.
No.
She falls onto the tray, face forward, and I was like, okay. And then the tray slides out, and her upper torso is on the tray, and her legs are still upright against the wall with some gore and stuff behind it. And it was kind of wild because we were both like, whoa! At the same time, didn't expect it. And then, in a very realistic manner, the legs buckled and fell.
Yeah, they buckled and fell. And then you could see the entrails inside of it.
And I was quite surprised by that effect.
It's a pretty good effect, too.
Yeah, and there was also a wonderful effect with...
and it didn't look like a mannequin on the tray. It
no,
looked like her.
It didn't. It looked like
really good.
Either an amazing prosthetic or just great smoke and mirror kind of moves and stuff.
For a low budget, they knew what they were doing.
They did a great job with that. There was also the wonderful effect with the head and the neck.
Oh, yeah, with Buzzard.
With Buzzard, yeah.
Now, we're not even going to talk about the turd scene where we have unnecessary man-ass.
Yeah, I was...
we're right back
to... a whole dream sequence that was
I'll tell you what, we're right back to Sleepaway Camp. Unnecessary man-ass. But, Buzzard, the girl, the guy, the weightlifter where he put his hand on it, the spike went up his hand and stuff. Of course, where the priest got his fingers cut off. I mean, this film is long. This isn't 100 minutes. It has a lot of different steps to it.
Anything over an hour and a half, I think, is kind of heavy for a horror film most
of
the time. Especially in the 80s.
Yeah, and this has all the steps where he goes to the priest, they do an exorcism. The exorcism, all it does is piss the fucking thing off.
Yeah, pisses the motorcycle off.
Yeah, and then it goes nuts. And it goes to a fucking, it goes into the hospital. It tries to track the guy down. It goes into a weightlifting gym, and all the weightlifters are around it when they think it's dead, and then it just explodes the weightlifters into a bunch of body parts.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like if you know what I'm talking about. It's not like Ricky O gore level, the story of Ricky, but it's at the same time there's a lot of fun stuff happening here.
Yeah,
and they ultimately do kill it because of a tanning bed.
There was some great moments because spoiler alert, as we were watching through the film, there was a scene where the motorcycle eats a dog.
Yeah,
and the next day the protagonist comes out. He's trying to start the motorcycle, won't start, and Paul goes, I guess it doesn't run very long off of dog blood. And then, like, he's trying to start it, and it cuts to the sun still in the sky. And we're like, it's a vampire motorcycle. It's not going to go out during the day. We'll start.
Oh, Jesus.
And we're like they hit, and you know, and that's like a classic vampire thing. But I mean, they really did hit every single vampire trope.
Yeah.
Like the garlic, the crosses, everything. Like everything that you could want.
We had a nice conversation about how, like, people, you know, some, especially women, sorry, women, you're idiots. But, you know, most of they can watch movies and everything's fine. You can kill, or even real life, kill. But if anyone hurts a fucking dog, everyone has a fucking ape shit thing. Oh, you're fucking retards. But that's what it spawned, that conversation. And then the next scene happened there. And it's, you know, in films, animals really don't get hurt unless it's Cannibal Holocaust, which I have a problem with that.
We had a discussion about that as we were watching
that loggerhead turtle. Now they're fucking endangered. Thanks a lot, asshole.
If you've never seen Cannibal Holocaust, I mean, it might be worth the watch.
Oh, it's worth a watch, but I don't rewatch it for that. I own it, but it's just one of those things. Don't kill animals in real life if you don't fucking have to.
It's a harsh movie, and
unless you're gonna eat the whole fucking thing, do not kill an animal.
And that turtle scene in Cannibal Holocaust was real, which is, you can tell. Kind of when you watch it.
Oh yeah, it's not good. It's not. I mean,
it's borderline. Like, am I almost watching a snuff film?
It's snuff film without the semen.
Yeah, it's.
I mean, if they added semen, I would have been okay with it. But you know,
like you see stuff on 4chan, like.
But no, yeah, exactly. Well, give me this 4chan reference. You can see stuff like that. 4chan. But it was one of those things. Like, yeah, don't do that, obviously. But the thing is, guys, if it's a movie, generally speaking. Nothing happens to the real animal, okay? I've had people upset with, like, Cellar Dweller, which is obviously a fake dog when it swings out. I've had people upset about Halloween. He picks the dog up and the dog's legs go limp. The dog is fine. It's a movie.
Yes, a movie.
Don't hurt animals in real life, okay?
People, it's okay.
Don't hurt people in real life, god damn it. People are animals too, and that's the other thing. We're all animals. Don't hurt animals in real life. That includes people, douchebags. Jesus, I like the fact that they have this blocker. We're all animals. Don't hurt each other.
So, not to totally.
No, we're good. I'm done.
There was a wonderful moment that I quite enjoyed, and I liked it because we both audibly laughed and were surprised at the same time. The head of the biker gang, the bad biker gang, he gets shot right in the ass.
I mean, it was up the bumhole.
Yeah, by the vampire motorcycle. Like it
had to have
been very close to the exit.
Sphincter.
The exit door.
Yeah, the sphincter was nipped.
And he goes to the hospital. And he's like, I have something stuck
up my bottom.
And he's having this discussion with the nurse. And she's like, have a seat. And he's like, I'd rather stand. And it's this little comedy thing. But the inspector comes in. And this was the moment that, like, we both did the exact same thing at the same time, which I was like, that was a true response. As the inspector comes in and talks to him and, like, startles him, he turns. And when he turns, the arrow
hits the table.
Clearly hits the table, but they didn't focus in on it. It was just like, if you were paying attention, like, you knew that it happened. You could totally tell, but it wasn't the focal point. But his reaction to when it hit, like, we both were like laughed and we're like, ha, at the exact same time. And I was like, that's a genuine reaction. That was a good moment.
That was quite enjoyable. And let's keep on that train of the bad guy. So he does an interrogation. There's blood all over the table because they keep slamming his head against the table to get the information. He gets on his motorcycle. He tools away. Next thing you know, vampire motorcycle's on his tail. We're thinking, oh fuck, here he goes.
Yeah, he's gonna get another dart.
He's gonna get a dart up the ass, the whole deal. Well, something not as good, but good.
It was still enjoyable.
Yeah. he gets ran off his bike. He goes through a window into a coffin, and the coffin lid closes on him in this mortuary home.
Yeah.
And I go, that's pretty good.
Yeah, it says R.I.P. across.
Yeah, R.I.P. right across. I was like, yeah, it's pretty good still. Yeah. But the double anal plug.
Yeah, I kind of would have enjoyed another ass shot. Yeah, because his reaction to the initial ass shot
was good enough. Yeah.
Hilarious.
And you didn't even see the initial ass shot. Just his way he did it. You knew it went right up
because the arrow flies. He makes a reaction, and Paul goes, "That shot him in the ass."
Exactly. I'm like, that shot him right in the ass, and fuck it did.
It sure as hell did.
It sure as hell did.
So yeah, I don't know. This movie.
You might not ever watch it again, but I'm glad I own it.
I don't think that I would ever watch this film again.
Now hold on. How many times have you purposely watched 976 Evil by yourself? Now, how many times would you say it would be a good party movie?
That's fair.
That's fair.
I don't know if this would... I don't know. I mean, like, this was really enjoyable, and it might be fun to have one in the background, but I don't think you...
Do you think this might be a party movie? Like, you just turn it on?
No, I don't... I mean, I suppose it could be, but...
You might not get it if you don't watch it.
Correct. I just feel like you'd be
what is happening on the TV right now?
It's not... I mean, I guess if you knew the title, you'd be like, I bought a vampire motorcycle, and be like, oh, okay, it's clearly about a motorcycle that's a vampire.
Yeah.
But, like, a movie like 976 Evil, you're like, Demon is the demon guy. It's clearly a demon guy kind of thing. It's easy to
what you're saying
is
976. We've talked about 976 Evil as a party film.
Yeah.
But like Leprechaun is a party film.
Yeah.
But I bought Vampire Motorcycle. You would really need to watch it once.
I think you want to watch it one time
because
like, have
if it was going on and people from the party never watch it, they'd be like, "Fuck."
Yeah, they'd just be like, "What is this?" I mean, like there's scenes I'm sure they would glance over and maybe laugh at or like kind of
wouldn't get it,
but like they would be like,
"It's not as plain Jane. It's not as easy to understand." Yeah. I still like this. Now we're gonna I'll give it 2 ratings. I won't give it the 3 trash rate because this is technically trash.
It is, but not in the same kind of trash rating. Not in the same trash sense that you typically give your trash rating.
Trashy Tuesday. I don't know if I'm gonna upload this on a Friday or Saturday, so it won't be a Trashy Tuesday upload. So, what would you give I Bought a Vampire Motorcycle horror fan and regular?
You know, it's funny because I was thinking about that as I was kind of watching it, and I was like, this movie is almost the same for both of them, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, really? I do. I personally think that because as a horror fan, this movie, like, it's a horror film.
Yes.
But it's not like a horror movie.
It's a horror comedy.
Yeah, like... It's lighter. Like, there's some great practical effects. There's some great... Like, the gore isn't over the top, but there's definitely some gore.
Definitely a lot of it, yeah. Like, when the art critics were going, I need some red in the middle, and then the guy gets splattered against the chain link fence and the iron fence, and
there was, like, one, like... There was the dream sequence with the bathroom and everything. Yeah.
I will tell you what. He never sold that crossbow bolt to his arm the whole movie after that.
No, he got hit. He got hit by a crossbow bolt in the arm when he was fighting the bikers in the bar, and it never came up.
No,
after
that pissed me off.
As a side note, before we go into the ratings and all that stuff, I would like to say I really feel like these guys watched Knight Riders by George Romero.
Very Knight Rider-y.
There's a lot of Knight Rider-y-esque kind of feel to this in certain aspects with the motorcycles and the weapons that the guys
that was
using.
The same guy that was in The Rock later.
Yeah, and they're all using flails and they're using axes.
There's axes and crossbows for no reason. And when they go into, I mean, I understand it's England, but when they go into that one pub, it's uber.
Yeah, the
uber.
They start wrestling and they go through a doorway.
All medieval
it's like
time.
A medieval.
It
looked like a set from. Do you remember watching? Did you ever watch Westworld? The
yes,
original
of course.
1970s
Yeah, I have it
Westworld?
with Yul Brenner.
Yeah, Yul Brenner and everything. when not the Westworld part, but when Yul Brynner is chasing Brolin, I think it's Brolin, whatever Brolin, through the different worlds, and they get to medieval world, and he's like chasing him through that.
That's what it reminds me.
Like, that
it's
pub
crazy.
scene,
Yeah.
that room that they were fighting in had a very like Westworld, medieval world feel to it, or a Knight Riders kind of feel to it. Like,
Absolutely.
It's
crazy.
And I was like, these guys, I think they
and
had to have watched some
motorcycles and knights. That's Knight Rider.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a dude on a motorcycle with a flail
that's
or
Knight
an
Rider.
axe, like that's Knight Riders, man. Like, and they weren't being like ironic or like weird or anything. Like, they're like, no, this is definitely a Knight Riders kind of feel to it. So for me, this film, on a horror fan level, I as much as I really did enjoy it, I'm not going to give it a high rating.
Okay, that's fine.
I'm going to say, like, for a horror fan, it's a 5.5. Like,
5 and 5.
Like a 5.5 for a horror fan.
Okay.
5.5 for a horror fan, because it was fun, it was enjoyable, I really liked it a lot, but there was no scary in it. There's some gore, but there's just not a lot of like big horror elements to it. Like it's a vampire story, so that like knocks it up like, oh, it's higher on the horror scale, but it's a motorcycle vampire, and it was so kind of campy that knocked it down for me a lot. Okay. I mean, I still loved it, and I definitely think that horror fans should watch this movie if they get the opportunity to.
Right.
But it didn't have that. I don't know, like that push, that whatever it was that would make me think that a horror fan would really love this movie.
Right.
I mean, I think they would love this movie, but they wouldn't love it for the they wouldn't love it for horror fan reasons.
So what's your non-horror?
My non-horror fan is like a 4 or 5.
4 or 5. So let's say 5 4.
Yeah, like a horror fan is going to like it a little bit more than an average movie. A non-horror fan a little lower.
It's a little different for me. Like, if you're a horror fan, you're going to have a great time watching this film.
I agree with that.
That's why I think it's a 7. I think this is a 7.
Okay.
I'm going to give it a 7. I think it's just like, it's one of those ones where, like, if you're an old school 80s horror fan, school 80s horror, like, fan, you're like, I gotta watch this.
Well, and that's the thing that's funny about it, is because I agree with you. I do agree with you. And I definitely think a horror fan would really enjoy this movie.
That's why I want to give it a 7.
But it's just so weird, because I feel like it's such a nuanced thing where...
Yeah, but 6.25 is still pretty...
overall,
it's still a good score.
Especially for this.
Yeah.
Because I think the horror fans are going to really love it, but because it's kind of like an oddball, pseudo-dark comedy film with horror elements to it, and they're going to like it so much because it calls to horror. But it's not I don't feel like it's like a true on like horror film.
Yeah, but neither was Shaun of the Dead.
Neither was Shaun of the
Dead.
But
that gets a greater heart. Everyone would give that a bigger
and you know, it's
score.
funny because like I don't have Shaun of the Dead in my horror section. I have it in comedies.
That's what it is. Yeah. But
Ghostbusters
definitely isn't a horror film.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
We all know that. Anyone knows that.
Everybody knows.
Everybody. But I would say a 6.25 overall for horror fan is actually a pretty good score for this.
Yeah.
Between you and I.
Yeah.
I would give your score for the average a lower score. I would give it a 2 and you gave it a 4. So I would say 3. So 3 overall non-horror fan, but 6.25 overall for this one. That's between he and I, of course. He and I is correct. He and me. But it is definitely worth a watch, and actually you'll get a tickle out of it.
I completely agree. If you can find a copy of it.
If you can find a copy of it, you'll get a tickle out of it.
I don't know how, you found that by chance and luck.
By chance, and I picked it up as soon as I saw it. So this has been Paul.
And Mike.
ManiacsMeat Podcast, and we'll see you to the next one. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Watch that finger. Woo-woo!